the things I did because I mean, look, at this stage we're grappling for what to do and how
Yeah.
to help your people and how to help your family members. So I
Mhm.
had noticed then as well another tablet that works also like hydroxychloroquine is mefloquine. It also has effects on viruses, including some of the viruses that affects what do you call it, encephalitis,
Mhm.
mad cow disease and all that. There was nothing. So I'd written that, that for a few people as well who couldn't have access to that. And that's my personal experience. And they actually did well, 4 tabs, one time, but you don't take it 4 tabs at a time. Take two and take 2 tablets, 2 hours apart.
Let's
So,
not dwell on that because there are people writing it down to go and look for it. So
right. No,
let's
and you know what? Anecdotal studies, and these are the things that we need to look into
yeah.
more. I've actually spoken to some of the people who are involved in research back home as well,
Mhm.
because we see what's happening in Nigeria now, what's happening in Kano and all that. We
Yes.
don't have anything.
Yes.
So this is something they should begin to look into, because personally, and I'll tell you this, look, after like 5 days of
Yes.
taking the hydroxychloroquine and all that, it wasn't working for me. Well, I didn't have the zinc. I didn't have, maybe that's why it wasn't working, because ideally, but I was taking the multivitamin.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get much zinc in it. How much? The ideal zinc is 220 milligrams, per day. And the
Mhm.
amount there was maybe like 20. So one night I sat up. In fact, I actually did speak to God. I said, God, I'm tired of this fever. Enough is enough, And then you're like, listen, you've given, methylquine to a few people and, with results. Why don't you take it yourself? I'm like, oh, you know what? Come to think of it, maybe I should do that. Listen, I woke in the morning because you have to eat.
Mhm.
One of the drawbacks of those medicines, they actually drop your glucose level. So you have to eat. And of course, if we know what the virus does to individuals. It makes you really weak. You don't want to eat. And if you take the hydroxychloroquine itself, or, the methylquine, it makes you even weaker because your blood sugar, drops. So I had to wait, took my I ate a little bit, as much as I can, and I took the the mefloquine, 2 tabs, with the two tabs. The reason why you do that, because it causes ophthalmoplegia, the visual issues,
Yes.
two, and then two afterwards. Listen, after that, 30 minutes later, no more fever till today. Aches and pain left
Are you
immediately.
serious?
Now, but then the weakness, that's what I had to
It was
grapple with.
still there.
Delta, go ahead.
So, but when you went to see, when you were taking care of the patients, you had your PPE on because there's no way you can see a COVID patient without full PPE.
Well, the essence is this, right from the beginning, because this was, right from the onset of which, things were coming up, and we had still grappling around, how to handle a lot of all these issues. Now, at the hospital, they are separated COVID positive
Hmm.
and COVID negative patients.
Yes.
But as you and I now know,
Hmm.
there are people who are asymptomatic
Yes.
that that secrete
We
the
do not.
virus, or,
Yes.
emit the virus, but people don't know that. But they're asymptomatic, but they do have the virus until they begin to start getting symptoms.
Hmm.
So a lot of those ones, you get exposed, and that's why it's particularly difficult for those in the healthcare system. And of course, we know patients move from one hospital to one hospital. I know of a particular case of a lady who was, exposed in another hospital, tested positive in another hospital, but then came, to our hospital, and we didn't find out until we had to call the other hospital to find out. So by then, you find out people have been exposed already.
Yes.
You know.
Okay, doctor. So, along the way, you caught the virus. Somebody you were exposed to the virus. So, what were the first symptoms you noticed?
Well, I mean, initially, if you remember, this was way still in March,
Hmm.
and all through March, the flu season was still on, and a
Yes.
few of us had gotten a few. I think I had traveled to Florida for an event, and I came back, and I think I had the flu, little aches and pain here and there. But
Hmm.
then that went away, and I was telling somebody like, "Oh, I feel so great. I exercise every day. I'm not on any meds. I take my multivitamins. I try to drink as much water as I can.
Yes.
I eat as much as I can." But then all of a sudden, I started having a few aches and pain here. But what struck me particularly was I was coming back from work one day, and then I had this horrible sharp pain in my left knee. I'm like, what's going on with my knee here? This sharp pain, like somebody used a sharp needle and just stuck me there. So, but I got into the car and I said, okay, did I sprain my knee? But by the time I got home, the whole knee was hurting, and then my whole body was hurting, and all of a sudden the fever started, and that fever persistently went on. Initially it was a 99, 100, 101. It went up to 104, and with general aches and pain. I mean, people ask me because I over the phone when we triaged and took care of patients, I've had patients complain with different symptoms. So we're getting familiar with a lot of the symptoms that they have. Some will just tell you, oh, it's a loss of smell, especially with women. A lot of women just complain, oh, loss of smell, and that's it. And then some will have, loss of smell with loss of taste and then cough. Yeah. And some will just have the dry cough. I remember people saying, oh, the dry cough. Yeah. And then subsequently people have aches and pain and fever that eventually goes on to be high-grade fever. And then you have people who would have diarrhea. As a matter of fact, in my experience and people around me, most of the people who had diarrhea were women. And those are the people who lost the sense of taste or smell were also women. And most of them, that's the only symptom that they had. They didn't even have no fever, So, but for me, I had the fever and then the weakness. A few people had described the weakness. A few patients of mine had said, you know what, the weakness is unbelievable. You just want to sleep and rest because that rest and that sleep feels so good. It wants to make you feel so good that you rather. In fact, somebody had actually described it and said that you rather sleep than not do anything else because when you do, you feel so good. But he said, please do not go to bed because that's the sleep of death. And when the COVID was coming to New York and Jersey, and we're seeing patients with that, because when you listen to patients, you have to take cognizance of some of the signs and symptoms that they present, so that when you see these things in a constellation, you'll be able to make up your mind about what the diagnosis you want to make up. So when I took care of patients who had those similar symptoms, I could recognize that, and I quickly told patients like, listen, please, no matter how weak you feel or tired you feel, don't lie down. And if it's possible, when you lie down, try and see if you can try and get up to eat or do something. Because if you don't, then, you feel weaker and weaker. In fact, there's what they call disuse atrophy in medicine. In common terms, they say if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you don't use your muscle, you begin to lose your muscle mass. So the more you lay down, the more mass and weakness you begin to observe. So I usually, in fact, a few of them who I taught them on the video stuff, they have some of the exercise to do so that they feel active and feel well. But I tell people this also, always try and get somebody who would, ask of you, find out what you're doing. And then because you're so weak, you cannot eat. Now, when I had my symptoms, the aches and the pain, and then subsequently the weakness came. Lord have mercy. The same weakness that people described, I felt it. With the aches and pain, when you're sick and you want to lie, you lie down, you don't feel comfortable. But this one, you feel so comfortable. That's just what you want to do.
So people just sleep and sleep away.
You just sleep. I mean, if you could leave me, I could sleep for 15 hours. I swear. The only thing that wake me up, I eat, I go to bed. The weakness and the sleep, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So and people have described it. Coffee through it. How do you make yourself stay up?
I'm a member of AMPA, which is the Nigerian American, the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas. And what did we do? We came up with a link where people can donate money. And we had said we're going to donate $80,000 where we buy PPEs for healthcare workers in Nigeria. Now, as at the last time we looked, we had, raised within, a week or less or so, $63,000. And that's people giving their widow's mite. It doesn't know how much. And guess what? I shared it all around on my platform, and there were non-Nigerians who were on my platform who were donating. And they were non-doctors. The Nigerian American Public Affairs Committee members were donating to AMPA. So this is the time that we have to come together, the Nigerian community everywhere. Enough is enough of this division. We have to come together to create ways. And that's why I said, look, this is the time for us to be innovative about how to settle and handle our issues back home. We have no leadership and we have to. So with regards to Kanu, so this is what we're trying to do. Because guess what? You need to allay the fears and anxiety of the populace. If you pick up the phone here in the US, you dial 911, somebody picks up. How would you feel if you pick up the phone here on the UK and you dial emergency number, nobody picks up? Your anxiety builds up. It's frustrating. And that's what's happening again in Nigeria. And the NDC, the NCDC, people say, there was this video that went around of 70-something-year-old grandmother who was so anxious about what was going on, about her son-in-law, and the guy died. So you know what? We came up saying, you know what can we do to help increase the capacity of NCDC? And what do? We're looking for ways to do that so that we help them create the capacity to receive phone calls.
Yes.
Like I told people this, you can pay, how much does it, look, there are people who want money, who are waiting. If you live abroad, 5 of you can donate $50 every month for this season, $50 will go and you can pay somebody's salary who can help pick up the phone for NCDC. You coordinate it with the NCDC. You coordinate with the NICOM, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. These things are avenues that are there. Now, the government on their own, on awareness, came up and I saw that. There's an app. You send the app, you click on it, it'll tell you how to determine if you're at risk for COVID, if you really do have it, and it determines what state you are. So, and I went through it and I looked at it, it's amazing, because it gives you, the comfort to see if is this really COVID or if it's not COVID. And you can basically tell. Now, if it's not severe and you can tell if you have breathing problem, if you don't, then you can stay at home and do the heating. Now, on practical level, so a lot of the time when people say, oh, well, what should I do? How do I know it's affecting my lungs? One, people have said, if you sit at home, take a deep breath and see if you can hold it for 10 seconds. If you can, then most likely you're well, you're okay. Or if the usual thing that you used to do, if you climb 5, 10 steps of staircase and you have no shortness of breath, then you're fine. But guess what? If you climb, you have to stop halfway out of 10. And that's something you used to run over, then there's an issue going on. So, but protecting ourselves, like I said, with the Vicks, the steaming, it's imperative. Because as long as you can do that and it doesn't get to your lungs, you'll be fine. You weather it all, you go, it's like somebody asked me, how do you think it is? It's like having malaria and the flu. For those who have flu and those who have having malaria and the flu times 2 are combined. So that's how bad it feels. But as long as you have preserved your lungs and you're fine, you have no problem. You weather through it, you eat, you try as much as possible. You see, for those who stay alone, I'm sorry. This is the time where our humanity has to come out in each and every one of us. We have to call on one another to find out who and where and what we're doing.